He saved her life and stepped into a war he didn't see coming. The city never slept, but parts of it died a little after midnight. Brooklyn's industrial edge was one of those parts. Quiet, cracked pavement under flickering streetlights, boarded-up storefronts, and the distant hum of traffic muffled by brick and snow. The wind cut through like a blade, and even the rats seemed to keep their heads down. Noah Carter pulled his hood tighter around his ears as he left the garage, breath fogging the air. Another 12-hour shift fixing trucks no one else would touch, and he still couldn't feel the tips of his fingers. His phone was at 5%, his rent was late, and he was starving. But at least the sky hadn't fallen today, or so he thought. He cut through the alley like always, shortcut to the bodega, where he'd grab a microwaved burrito and call it a night. The city taught you patterns. Stay invisible. Don't make eye contact. Move like you're late for something, even when you're not. He heard the sound just as he passed the dumpster. A thud. A gasp. Fabric scraping brick. A voice. Choked. Feminine. Afraid. Noah froze. 1 foot already past the alley, his brain screaming, "Keep walking." But something inside him clenched. Then came the whisper of a scream, half swallowed, like someone begging not to be heard. He turned. At first, he saw only shadows. Then, the shape formed. 2 figures. A man pinning a woman to the wall, one hand around her throat, the other fumbling in a coat pocket. Her arms flailed weakly, legs kicking, eyes wide. Noah didn't hesitate. "Hey!" he shouted, storming forward. The attacker turned, surprised, eyes catching the dim glow of a streetlight. A flash of metal. A knife. Noah didn't stop. Adrenaline surged. He slammed his shoulder into the guy's chest, knocking him back. The woman fell to the ground, gasping. Pain exploded in Noah's side, a searing, hot slice. But he ignored it. They grappled. The man snarled, punching wildly. Noah struck back, fists flying, blood mixing with snow. The knife glinted again. Another jab. This time Noah caught his arm, twisted, and slammed him into the wall. The guy groaned, then ran, stumbling into the darkness. Noah staggered, clutching his ribs. Blood soaked through his hoodie. "Damn it," he muttered, legs shaking. Then he remembered her. She was curled in the snow, knees drawn to her chest, hair wild and damp. He knelt beside her, vision swimming. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She looked up, and everything slowed. Her eyes, green like emerald fire, met his. Not just fear. Shock. Recognition. As if she saw something in him she didn't expect. I have to go," she whispered, already scrambling to her feet. "What?" "No, wait, hey, it's okay." But she was already running, not limping, not crying, just gone, heels clicking down the alley and vanishing into the city. Noah sat back against the wall, snow soaking into his jeans. Sirens wailed somewhere blocks away. He pulled out his phone, but his hand slipped. It cracked against the pavement, screen shattering. Perfect. The pain in his side was worse now, warm blood dripping down his stomach. He pressed his hand to it, gritting his teeth, and forced himself to stand. She was gone. Whoever she was. Probably some rich girl who wandered too far in the wrong shoes. He limped the rest of the way home, each step a knife twist in his side. The tiny apartment smelled like cheap detergent and rust. He didn't turn on the light. Just made it to the bathroom, peeled off his hoodie, and winced at the gash. Deep, but not deadly. He'd had worse. Once from a busted muffler, once from a broken beer bottle in a bar fight. Life had a habit of trying to kill him softly. He poured vodka over the cut, wrapped it in gauze from the back of his cabinet, and dropped onto his thrift store couch. Her face was still in his mind. Not her clothes. Not her voice. Just her eyes. And he didn't even know her name. 5 miles away, Olivia Ashford was scrubbing blood from her hands in a marble sink. The penthouse bathroom was pure elegance. Gold fixtures, Italian tile, warm lights and lavender soap. None of it felt real. Her palms trembled, her knees still weak. She'd walked into her building like nothing happened, past doormen who smiled and nodded, into the elevator where no one looked her in the eye. No one noticed the blood on her coat. No one saw her panic. She dropped the coat into the laundry chute, tore off her dress, and stepped into the shower. The hot water stung. Not from injury, she hadn't been cut, but from the memory of being powerless, of nearly dying, and the stranger who saved her. She leaned her forehead against the glass. Her father would be furious if he knew. He had always warned her, bodyguards, protocol, rules. But she'd wanted just 1 hour of freedom. One night outside the cage. Instead, she got a glimpse of death, and the eyes of a man who pulled her from it. She didn't know him, didn't see a badge or a name, but he bled for her, and she ran like a coward. Her reflection in the mirror looked different now. Not the glamorous heiress with the press-ready smile. Just a scared, 23-year-old girl who realized how fragile everything was. She walked into her room, ignoring the pinging phone, and curled into bed. She'd never see him again. She told herself that was okay, but it wasn't. And somewhere deep inside, she already knew. This wasn't over. Not even close. Olivia Ashford sat in her room long after the sun rose, staring at her ceiling as if the answer to everything was carved in the plaster. But there were no answers, just memories. The alley, the cold, the knife, his voice, his hands, the way he had looked at her like she wasn't made of money or legacy or headlines, just someone who needed saving, someone who mattered. No one had ever looked at her that way before. She had dreams, if they could be called that. Nightmares, more like. In them, she couldn't scream, couldn't move. Her father's voice echoed down empty corridors, telling her it was her fault, that she should have known better, that she had endangered everything. Sometimes she woke up gasping. Sometimes she didn't sleep at all. She hadn't told anyone. Not security. Not her assistant. Not even her therapist. Especially not her father. At breakfast, the city glittered outside the penthouse windows, its skyline a jagged painting behind layers of reinforced glass. The table was set with military precision. Everything perfectly arranged. Organic fruit. Pressed juices. Newspapers. Her father in a tailored Tom Ford suit, already mid-call with someone in Tokyo, barking something about market shares and visibility. "Olivia," he said the second he ended the call, not even glancing up. "Your photo at the gala is trending again. Daily Press thinks you look too thin. TMZ says you might be pregnant. And Vogue is demanding an exclusive." "Nice to know I'm still relevant," she murmured, sipping coffee. "I need you sharp this week. The Ashford-Whalen merger is delicate. One wrong word, one wrong smile, and we could lose 6 months of negotiation." "I was almost kidnapped last night," she said flatly, eyes on her croissant. Silence. She didn't really say it, of course. She wanted to, just to see if he'd even look up. But she didn't, because she already knew the answer. Not now, Liv. Later. Be more careful next time. Noah Carter woke up in a puddle of sweat and pain. His side screamed as he rolled off the couch. Every breath stabbed like glass under the skin. His bandage was soaked. The cheap vodka he used to sterilize the wound burned like fire. "Jesus," he muttered, pulling off his shirt and examining the damage. The cut was angry and red, but not infected. Yet. He dug out another old t-shirt and sliced it into makeshift bandages, wrapping it tight. He hadn't gone to the hospital, couldn't afford to. The last time he'd stepped into an ER, the bill nearly killed him more than the concussion did. He popped 2 leftover painkillers from a prescription he'd forgotten to throw out and washed them down with tap water. His kitchen light flickered. He ignored it. The neighborhood was quiet, except for a dog barking in the alley and the distant thump of a train. His apartment was small, Just a mattress on the floor, a TV that didn't work, a fridge with more takeout containers than food, and a photo of his mom tucked in the corner of the mirror. He sat at the table, staring at nothing, until his phone buzzed. Marcus. You alive? Need help at the shop. Benny's losing it. Noah typed back. Be there in 30. He moved slow, every movement tight with pain. But he dressed, grabbed his jacket, and limped down the stairs. He didn't tell anyone what happened. Not even Marcus. What could he say? Hey man, got stabbed saving a girl in an alley. She ran off. No name. No thanks. Just blood. Sounded like a movie. A bad one. And yet, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Her face. The fear in her eyes. The way she ran. Like she knew she wasn't safe even after he stepped in. Like she'd learned long ago not to trust anyone. That same morning, Olivia paced the hallway of a nondescript office in the Lower East Side. The building was 5 stories of peeling paint, flickering fluorescents, and forgotten startups. But in room 307 sat Kira, the best digital ghost tracker money could buy. I need something, Olivia said, handing over a USB stick. Traffic camera footage from Halstead and 14th. Thursday night. Around 11. And anything you can pull from it. Faces, audio, plate numbers. I want everything. Kira raised an eyebrow. Did someone hit your car or something? Just find him. Kira didn't ask questions. Olivia liked her for that. She paid double for discretion, and Kira always delivered. 2 hours later, she sent a text. Kira. Got something. Sending link. Olivia clicked it from her phone while waiting for her driver to pull around. The grainy footage showed shadows, movement, a man running into the alley, a flash of silver, a scuffle. Olivia's heart pounded. There he was, the stranger, her stranger, taking the blow, fighting, limping away into darkness. She paused the video, zoomed. The quality was awful, but she could make out a patch on his sleeve, a logo. Benny's Auto and Towing. Her breath caught. He was real. He had a job. A life. He bled for her and walked away like it meant nothing. Like it was just another night. She saved the image. Later that night, back in her room, Olivia sat on her bed, knees pulled to her chest, hoodie sleeves covering her hands. She stared at the blurry screenshot on her laptop. She should forget him. It was safer. Cleaner. But she couldn't. Because something about him pulled at her. Something she didn't understand. He didn't fit into her world. Didn't belong in her orbit. And yet he was the only thing she could think about. He wasn't like the men at her parties. Not the ones who talked about yachts and crypto and pretending to care about charities. He didn't ask her name. Didn't flirt. Didn't hesitate. He just moved. And now, she had his name Noah Carter. The sign above the garage buzzed like a dying wasp. One letter was out, so it read, Ben Wise Towing, instead of Benny's. The air smelled like burnt oil and old tires. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed over concrete floors, slick with decades of grease, and the clang of metal rang like music to those who worked there. Noah wiped sweat from his brow with a rag that should have been retired years ago. His ribs still hurt like hell, but he didn't complain. Couldn't. Every hour mattered. Every dollar counted. The world didn't pause just because you were bleeding. Yo, Carter, Benny yelled from the front office. Get that Camry on lift 2. Owner's pitching a fit. Noah nodded, grabbing the keys from the pegboard. Out front, a black SUV slowed as it passed the garage. Tinted windows, sleek body. It didn't belong in this neighborhood. Too polished, too quiet. But no one paid it much attention. Not in this part of Brooklyn. Expensive cars either meant trouble or someone lost. Inside that SUV, Olivia sat frozen. There he was. Noah. Alive. Dirty. Shirt sticking to his side from sweat. Grease on his jaw. He looked different from the video. More real. His body moved like it hurt to breathe. But he didn't slow down. Didn't complain. She watched him work with deliberate rhythm, completely unaware that she was watching. "You want me to keep driving?" her driver asked, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror. "No," she whispered. "Wait." She pressed her hand to the window, heart thumping. She hadn't planned what she'd do if she actually found him. Hadn't expected this wave of emotion to hit her so hard. He looked tired, but strong, and completely out of place in her world. And yet, she couldn't look away. He walked past her car once, so close she could have opened the door and touched him. But she didn't. Coward, she told herself. But something in her gut told her not yet. Not like this. Inside, Noah leaned over the Camry's open hood, jaw clenched. His side ached from the movement, and he knew he'd reopened the scab. But the rhythm of work helped. It was something he could control. Engines didn't lie. Wrenches didn't cheat. They either worked or didn't. "Dude," Marcus muttered, passing behind him. "You look like death warmed over." "I've looked worse." "That's not comforting." "What happened? You get jumped?" Noah hesitated. "Something like that." "You report it?" Noah shook his head. Marcus narrowed his eyes. "You should. You look like someone tried to gut you, man. It's handled." Handled. What a joke. He wasn't even sure he'd make it through the week. But something inside him refused to lie down. Not yet. Not when there was still a roof over his head and a paycheck at the end of the week. He caught a glimpse of something black through the garage window. A car. Expensive. Sitting too long. Something about it prickled the back of his neck. But when he looked again, it was gone. Olivia returned to her penthouse in a daze. Her driver asked if she was okay. She nodded. He didn't push. In the elevator, she leaned against the mirrored wall and tried to catch her breath. She'd seen him. In the flesh. She'd stared into the realness of his life and realized how far away it was from her own. Her world was soft leather chairs, catered brunches, and climate-controlled silence. His was blood, sweat, and machines. And yet, she'd never felt more alive. At home, she stood barefoot in the middle of her massive closet, still wearing the same designer coat she'd had on all day. She stared at rows of dresses, shoes, handbags, all in perfect order. And for the first time, none of it felt real. It felt like props, like costumes. She opened a drawer and pulled out a hoodie. A plain one. No logos. Soft cotton. Then jeans. Sneakers. She changed and looked at herself in the mirror. Stripped of armor, she looked younger. Softer. Human. It terrified her. The next day, Noah's pain hit new levels. He barely made it to the garage. Every twist of his torso felt like a hot poker. He was dizzy by noon. But he pushed through. Pride kept him standing more than anything else. Around lunch, Benny tossed him a water bottle. "Take 10, he grunted. "You look like you're gonna fall into an engine." Noah muttered thanks and slipped around the corner to the alley behind the shop. It wasn't pretty, but it was quiet. He sat on a broken crate and closed his eyes. That's when he heard it. Footsteps soft. Hesitant. He opened his eyes, and there she was. Olivia. Not in a gown. Not in heels. Just jeans and a hoodie. Hair in a loose braid. No makeup. No entourage. Just her. They stared at each other, the moment stretching long and thin between them. Noah stood slowly. "I'm sorry," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "I should have stayed. That night." His heart pounded. "You remember?" "I never forgot." He didn't know what to say. The words tangled in his throat. "I looked for you," she said, taking a step closer. "I didn't know your name. I still don't really know who you are. But I had to see you. I had to thank you." Noah blinked. "I thought maybe I imagined you." "I thought the same." A silence fell. Not awkward. Heavy. He looked at her again. Really looked. Her eyes were the same. Fearless. Curious. Kind. "I'm Noah," he said finally. "I'm Olivia." He gave a dry smile. "You don't look like an Olivia." She laughed softly. "What do I look like?" "Someone who shouldn't be here." She nodded. "I know." Another pause. Then, "Can I buy you lunch?" she asked. He blinked. "What?" "Lunch. Just lunch. I won't disappear this time." He hesitated. Everything about her said trouble, but something in her eyes said truth. He nodded. And for the first time in a long, long time, he didn't feel alone. The diner wasn't where Olivia usually went. No velvet chairs, no hostess, no reservations. Just a corner joint with flickering lights, formica tables, and a jukebox that hadn't worked in years. She liked it instantly. Noah sat across from her, arms crossed. His shirt had a grease stain near the collar, his knuckles were still red from work, and he looked like he hadn't been this clean in days. "This feels weird," he said. "It is," he leaned back. "You tracked me down, stalked my job, and now we're here." She sipped her coffee. "You're welcome. You don't owe me anything." "I know." I still wanted to. There was silence between them, but not the bad kind. The kind where something real filled the space. "You okay?" he asked, eyeing her wrist. She nodded. "Physically? Yeah. Mentally? Still running that night on loop?" "Same." They didn't touch. Didn't flirt. But something passed between them like a current. "I don't usually do this," she said. "Go after people. I don't usually get saved by millionaires." She raised an eyebrow. "You Googled me?" "Didn't have to. You've got one of those faces. Or maybe it's the voice." "I sound rich?" "You sound like you've never been ignored." She blinked. That hit harder than she expected. Meanwhile, Richard Ashford leaned over his desk, eyes fixed on the paused security feed. Olivia was lying. Again. He knew her patterns. When she smiled too fast. When she blinked too slow. Something was off. She was hiding something. "Find out where she's going," he told Jeanette. "And if she's with someone?" Richard didn't look up. "We'll take care of it." The next morning, Noah found a folded note shoved under his apartment door. "Leave her alone." No signature. Just thick black ink. He looked around the hallway. Nothing. No sound. No movement. At the garage, he kept quiet. But Marcus noticed his silence. "You good?" "Just tired." "You always say that." This time, it wasn't a lie. He was tired. But more than that, he was nervous. Not about Olivia, but about the world trying to push them apart before anything even began. Olivia couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, scrolling through photos she shouldn't have taken. Noah working, Noah laughing, Noah looking confused when she offered him fries the night before. She told herself she wasn't obsessed, but maybe she was just free for once. Her phone buzzed. Kira. Someone else accessed background on Noah. Corporate-level query. Her stomach dropped. Kira. Same fingerprint I've seen before. Could be your father. Olivia. Got dressed. She pulled up to the garage just as Noah stepped out, wiping his hands with a rag. His eyes met hers instantly. He looked exhausted. But when he saw her, he smiled without thinking. "You again," he said, getting into the passenger seat. "Me again." "Where to?" "Anywhere but here." They ended up on a rooftop overlooking the East River. Windy, quiet, beautiful. She sat on the hood. He stayed standing. "I think someone's watching you," she said. "I got a note this morning." Her breath caught. What did it say? "Leave her alone." That's it. She went cold. "My father's behind it." He didn't flinch. "Why?" "Because he doesn't like losing control." He looked at her. "Is that what this is?" "No. This is the first thing in my life that isn't about control." A long pause. You don't have to protect me, he said. I know. But maybe I want to. She reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. That night, Richard sat in a car parked across from Noah's building. He watched the lights. Made a call. When I give the word, separate them. Quietly. A voice replied. Understood. The knock came just after 4 a.m. Not the gentle kind. The kind that made Noah sit upright on his mattress, heart slamming against his ribs. He grabbed the wrench from beside his bed and moved slowly to the door, bare feet silent on cracked linoleum. Another knock. Sharp. Precise. He opened the door a crack. A fist met his face, and the world blurred. 2 men shoved inside. One slammed him against the wall. The other drove a knee into his gut. Noah crumpled, gasping. Blood spilled from his nose, pain blooming in his ribs. This is your warning, one hissed. Stay away from her. No names, no weapons. Just pain. Then silence. They were gone. Noah lay on the floor, bleeding, shaking. He didn't need a name to know who sent them. When Olivia saw him, her breath caught. His left eye was swollen, lip split. He sat on a hospital cot, head down, shirt stained with blood. Her heart shattered. Oh my God. He looked up. You shouldn't be here. What happened? 2 guys. No masks. Said to stay away from you. Her fists clenched. My father. I can't prove it. You don't need to. He stood, wincing. This isn't safe anymore. Noah, I'm serious, Olivia. I care about you, but this isn't worth getting beaten to death over. She stepped closer. Don't say that. I don't want you caught in this. Or worse, used as bait to punish me. You think I'm some glass doll? I think you're a hurricane in a crystal cage. And I don't want to be the one that breaks it. She blinked fast. So that's it? I don't know what else to do. He left. She didn't go home. She went to her father's office. Richard Ashford stood with his back to the skyline, glass of scotch in hand. When he saw her face, he didn't flinch. You sent them. I protected you. You hit him. I didn't lift a finger. She stepped forward. You're pathetic. I'm powerful. There's a difference. He saved me. He also exposed you. He didn't want anything from me. Richard chuckled. Everyone wants something. She stared at him, then turned. I'm done. You'll come back. No, I won't. She slammed the door behind her. Noah didn't sleep that night. He sat on his floor, staring at the note she'd left under his mat 2 days ago. I'm not giving up. Not on you. Not on us. But she should. They came for him once. They could come again. Or worse. He knew what rich men did when they felt cornered, and Richard Ashford was a king in a palace built on secrets. Still, when he closed his eyes, he saw her smile, heard her laugh, felt her fingers graze his bruised knuckles. He was already too far gone. Olivia didn't sleep either. She packed a bag, left her phone on her dresser, and walked out. No plan. No destination. Just one thought. I have to find him before I lose him. At sunrise, Noah sat on the hood of a junked car behind Benny's garage, nursing his side with a bag of frozen peas. Marcus approached, holding a cup of bad coffee. You okay, man? I'm breathing. Who were they? Noah didn't answer. Marcus hesitated. You leaving? Noah shook his head. Not yet. Good. Because at that moment, a taxi pulled up across the street. The door opened. She stepped out. Hoodie. No makeup. Backpack over one shoulder, and eyes that locked on his like magnets. He stood. She walked straight toward him, no hesitation, and then without a word she hugged him. Not soft. Not cautious. Real. Alive. He buried his face in her shoulder. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered. He didn't answer. but his arms held tighter. Meanwhile, high above Manhattan, Richard Ashford stood watching the city. "She's gone," Jeanette said behind him. He didn't speak. She left everything. Even her phone. He turned, voice like steel. "Find them." They stayed hidden for 2 days. Not out of fear. Out of necessity. Olivia used cash. Left her cards behind. No phone. No socials. Nothing traceable. Noah borrowed a friend's truck, and they drove north, away from the glass towers and velvet prisons. The cabin belonged to Marcus's cousin. Tiny, old, with a wood stove and creaky floors. No cameras. No neighbors. Just wind, trees, and the sound of silence. It felt like breathing again. "I feel like I stole this peace," Olivia whispered, watching Noah chop firewood with one arm. The other was still bruised. "Peace is always stolen," he said. "Nobody gives it freely." They didn't kiss. Not yet. But they were close. Closer than most lovers ever get. Not because of skin, but because of silence. And choice. Every second together was a decision. Every moment could be the last. Back in Manhattan, Richard Ashford tore apart his empire. Private investigators, bank trace, phone dumps, driver logs. The full force of a billion-dollar machine aimed at one thing, locating his daughter. "What do you want us to do when we find them?" Jeanette asked. His jaw tightened. "Bring her back. Him. Make sure he never touches her again." Day 3. Rain. Heavy. Cold. They stayed inside, played cards, talked about nothing. About music, childhood, pain, joy. He told her about his mom, now nonverbal in a care facility. She told him about the first time she realized money didn't fix loneliness. He watched her fall asleep on the couch, hair messy, socks mismatched, breathing soft. He'd never felt more afraid in his life, because he knew what came next. The knock came at dawn. Not like last time. This time, it was military precise. 3 short taps. Noah froze. Olivia sat up, instantly alert. Her eyes met his. He moved to the window, peeked through the curtain. Black SUV. 2 men in suits. He turned back to her. "We need to go. Now." They packed in silence, slipped out the back, into the woods. The truck was hidden a mile down. By the time Richard's men reached the door, they were already gone. On the road again. She drove this time. Noah leaned against the window, clutching his side. "We can't run forever," he muttered. "I know. They'll keep coming. I know." He turned to her. "So what do we do?" She didn't answer. But hours later, she did. They stood at the press conference together, live, unscripted. Olivia wore no makeup. Just a plain, black blouse. Noah stood beside her, bruised but proud. "I'm Olivia Ashford," she said. "And for the first time in my life, I'm speaking without permission." Gasps. Flashes. Silence. "My father controls a lot. Money. Power. People. But he doesn't control me. Not anymore." She looked at Noah. "This man saved my life, and he's been punished for it. Threatened. Beaten. Hunted. For what? For caring?" She stepped closer to the mic. "I won't let that continue. So here's my decision. I'm leaving the Ashford Empire. Today. Effective immediately. Chaos. Voices. Questions." She raised a hand. "I don't want my name to buy silence anymore. I want it to mean truth." Backstage, Richard watched the screen go black. He didn't speak. Didn't blink. Then he turned away from the TV and poured himself a drink. 1 month later, a tiny town in Maine. A new auto shop. A small apartment above it. A guitar resting near the window. 2 mismatched mugs on the table. Noah worked mornings. Olivia baked. She was learning how to be unknown and loving every second. They weren't rich. They weren't safe. But they were free. And in each other's arms, they were home. The knock came just after sunrise. Not a bang. Not a threat. A code. Sharp. Precise. 3 beats, a pause, then 2 more. Noah sat up instantly. Olivia was already out of bed, pulling on jeans and boots. They'd agreed. If that rhythm came, they wouldn't waste time. She didn't ask if it was her father's men. She knew. They moved quickly. Bag already packed. Phone battery removed. Car gassed up and hidden behind the tree line. Within 2 minutes, they were out the back and down the path, breath steaming in the cold air. As they disappeared into the forest, the black SUV pulled up to the cabin. Too late. They didn't stop driving for hours. Through back roads, past fields, past towns too small to appear on maps. Neither spoke until Noah finally whispered, "We can't live like this forever." "I know. He'll keep sending people." "I know." He looked at her. "So, what do we do?" She didn't answer right away, just kept driving. But in her silence, something changed. She wasn't afraid anymore. That night, Olivia stood before a wall of cameras and microphones. Live. Unfiltered. Uncontrolled. She wore jeans and a black turtleneck. Her hair was pulled back, and her voice was steady as steel. "My name is Olivia Ashford," she began, "and I am no longer afraid of my father." Gasps. Camera shutters. Reporters frozen. "I've been followed, monitored, threatened, but I stayed silent until the man who saved my life was attacked." Noah stood behind her, still bruised, still standing. She went on, her voice rising. "My father is not a protector. He's a manipulator, a tyrant. He sent men to beat an innocent man simply because I love him." More gasps. "I'm stepping down from every company board. I'm donating my trust fund to causes he would never approve of. And I'm pressing charges against everyone who participated in the violence." The room exploded in noise, but she didn't flinch. "I refuse to be his daughter in name only. From now on, I speak for myself." She looked straight into the cameras. "And if you're watching this, Dad, I'm not coming home." Richard Ashford watched from his office, drink untouched in his hand. For once, he was speechless. Not because of skin, but because of silence and choice. Every second together was a decision. Every moment could be the last. Back in Manhattan, Richard Ashford tore apart his empire. Private investigators, bank trace, phone dumps, driver logs. The full force of a billion-dollar machine aimed at one thing: locating his daughter. "What do you want us to do when we find them?" Jeanette asked. His jaw tightened. "Bring her back. Him. Make sure he never touches her again." Day 3. Rain. Heavy. Cold. They stayed inside, played cards, talked about nothing. About music, childhood, pain, joy. He told her about his mom, now nonverbal in a care facility. She told him about the first time she realized money didn't fix loneliness. He watched her fall asleep on the couch, hair messy, socks mismatched, breathing soft. He'd never felt more afraid in his life, because he knew what came next. The knock came at dawn. Not like last time. This time, it was military precise. 3 short taps. Noah froze. Olivia sat up, instantly alert. Her eyes met his. He moved to the window, peeked through the curtain. Black SUV. 2 men in suits. He turned back to her. "We need to go. Now." They packed in silence, slipped out the back, into the woods. The truck was hidden a mile down. By the time Richard's men reached the door, they were already gone. On the road again. She drove this time. Noah leaned against the window, clutching his side. "We can't run forever," he muttered. "I know. They'll keep coming. I know." He turned to her. "So what do we do?" She didn't answer. But hours later, she did. They stood at the press conference together, live, unscripted. Olivia wore no makeup, just a plain black blouse. Noah stood beside her, bruised but proud. "I'm Olivia Ashford," she said. "And for the first time in my life, I'm speaking without permission." Gasps, flashes, silence. "My father controls a lot. Money, power, people. But he doesn't control me. Not anymore." She looked at Noah. This man saved my life, and he's been punished for it. Threatened. Beaten. Hunted. For what? For caring? She stepped closer to the mic. I won't let that continue. So here's my decision. I'm leaving the Ashford Empire. Today. Effective immediately. Chaos. Voices. Questions. She raised a hand. I don't want my name to buy silence anymore. I want it to mean truth. Backstage, Richard watched the screen go black. He didn't speak. Didn't blink. Then he turned away from the TV and poured himself a drink. 1 month later, a tiny town in Maine. A new auto shop. A small apartment above it. A guitar resting near the window. 2 mismatched mugs on the table. Noah worked mornings. Olivia baked. She was learning how to be unknown and loving every second. They weren't rich. They weren't safe. But they were free. And in each other's arms, they were home. The knock came just after sunrise. Not a bang. Not a threat. A code. Sharp. Precise. 3 beats. A pause. Then 2 more. Noah sat up instantly. Olivia was already out of bed, pulling on jeans and boots. They'd agreed. If that rhythm came, they wouldn't waste time. She didn't ask if it was her father's men. She knew. They moved quickly. Bag already packed. Phone battery removed. Car gassed up and hidden behind the tree line. Within 2 minutes, they were out the back and down the path, breath steaming in the cold air. As they disappeared into the forest, the black SUV pulled up to the cabin. Too late. They didn't stop driving for hours. Through back roads, past fields, past towns too small to appear on maps. Neither spoke until Noah finally whispered, "We can't live like this forever." "I know. He'll keep sending people." "I know." He looked at her. "So, what do we do?" She didn't answer right away, just kept driving. But in her silence, something changed. She wasn't afraid anymore. That night, Olivia stood before a wall of cameras and microphones. Live. Unfiltered. Uncontrolled. She wore jeans and a black turtleneck. Her hair was pulled back, and her voice was steady as steel. "My name is Olivia Ashford," she began, "and I am no longer afraid of my father." Gasps. Camera shutters. Reporters frozen. "I've been followed, monitored, threatened, but I stayed silent until the man who saved my life was attacked." Noah stood behind her, still bruised, still standing. She went on, her voice rising. "My father is not a protector. He's a manipulator, a tyrant. He sent men to beat an innocent man simply because I love him." More gasps. "I'm stepping down from every company board. I'm donating my trust fund to causes he would never approve of. And I'm pressing charges against everyone who participated in the violence." The room exploded in noise, but she didn't flinch. "I refuse to be his daughter in name only. From now on, I speak for myself." She looked straight into the cameras. "And if you're watching this, Dad, I'm not coming home." Richard Ashford watched from his office, drink untouched in his hand. For once, he was speechless.